Good morning all. I am Babita Yadav, PhD scholar, Department of Education, Central University of Jharkhand, is presenting paper with my co-author Dr. Manvi Yadav, Assistant Professor, Department of Education, COJ. First of all, I would like to thank all the organizer, faculty and research scholar of Department of Education of Central University of Gujarat for giving us a platform through research conclave to present our views and knowledge regarding different methods of research process. The title of my paper is Mixed Method, a Research Paradigm. First of all, we should know what is the meaning of research paradigm. The paradigm is originated from the Greek word paradigma, which is commonly known as a pattern. So it is, according to Cohen, a way of looking at any research phenomena, which is called a correct scientific knowledge or a way of working, how we accept the model or a pattern. Cohen added in this by saying that it is a set of principles which identify the research community pursuing knowledge to identify the research problem, investigate it so that we get a better solution of any problem. Now, the two major research paradigms is right now, as we have heard from the many past years, that is qualitative and the quantitative research. And research paradigm is a combination of research philosophy and research methodology. Research paradigm, as I've told you, is the two main type, that is qualitative and second one is quantitative. Now, there is a big difference between these two school of thoughts. The basic difference of the qualitative and the quantitative research is qualitative is basically interpretative uh, in nature. We can say it follows the interpretism philosophy, and the quantitative one follows the positivism. It is the qualitative is highly subjective in nature, whereas the quantitative is objective in nature. They do not follow the biasness. They are quite impersonal and verifiable. They follow the random, representative, and large sampling, and they are deductive, follow the deductive approach, that is from general to specifics. And that's why this quantitative gives a valid and reliable result or findings. Whereas the qualitative ones, they have a close interaction with their responses, and the sampling is generally purposive. They are inductive in nature and give a comprehensive, unique, and contextual in nature. Now, from the century, there is a debate between the researchers regarding the choice of paradigm, whether they should go with the qualitative one or should go to the quantitative one, and that's create a paradigm wars among the researcher. Why? Because the open-ended character of the qualitative method reveals the excessive subjectivity, whereas the close-ended nature of the quantitative method, it reveals objectivity. And any single method cannot give a justice to any research problem. That leads to the new kind of paradigms, or we call a third paradigm or a novice paradigm, which is called a third movement, also called as mixed method research, which is also called as MMR. So basically it helps to remove all the paradigm wars of the researchers, and it gives a comprehensive view of the research problems. It is basically the amalgamation of the quantitative research paradigms as well as the uh, qualitative research paradigms, and it gives a rounded picture of any study, and that would be more reliable, authenticated, as well as comprehensive. Now, we should know the main characteristics of MMR, which is given by Tashkori and Tendai. The first one is methodological eclecticism. Second one is pluralism, paradigm pluralism. These two methods means where we use a different kind of methods and different kind of paradigm to know the specific answer of any research problems. It helps to give a complete picture of the research problem so that we can able to generalize it, as well as we know uh, the in-depth study. It helps to give us an in-depth study of the research problem. It is iterative as well as cyclic approach of the research, because it follows the inductive as well as the deductive approach, and it has their own signature strength. They emphasizes on the continuum rather than a dichotomies. see, they do not follow either only a quantitative or a quality, but it acts as a continuum. So, and it has its own diversity, which leads to the third methodological community, and it relies on the visual representation through figures and diagrams, and that's why they have a common notional systems. Now, question goes, why we need the MMR? MMR is a kind of paradigm shifts connecting ETEC to EMIC researchers, irrespective by increasing the credibility and pragmatic value of any phenomena. See, the quantification of the data, it can be tested with the help of hypotheses, and by using a statistical p-value, we can easily interpret our data and generalize the finding of any large populations. But here the subjective nature of the data or our finding is lacking, which can be easily compensated when we incorporate the qualitative phenomena in our research process. So which gives a in-depth study, and through the focus group or give explanatory theory. Even though the inductive approach, it also helps to demonstrate the changes occur during the study. Thus, this incorporation of both approaches illustrate the cause and effect relationship as well as the idiographic causal explanation. So that's why it is work on a continent rather than in any particular approaches, and it helps to overcome the weakness of each method through triangulation. Thus, it helps to reduce the philosophical wars, fill the gaps of epistemological differences, make a sustainable bridge so that our research becomes more universal, pragmatic, and have their own social and behavior value. Now, let's discuss about the design of MMR. But before discussing the design of MMR, we should know some abbreviation which is very important while deciding the MMR. Here we use a quantitative data by qual or qualitative by qual. If it is in capital letter, it means we are giving more priority to the particular method or particular approach, and the small letter represent here the less priority. The plus sign here indicates the concurrent collection of the data, and the arrow shows the sequential, whereas the bracket shows embedded one. Equals to means outcome of the mixing, and the opposite arrow means method used recursively. Now, before choosing any MMR design, a researcher should have to decide the three important things. And this is well illustrated by the decision tree by Creswell. The three important decision was, number one is timing. How will you, that is the sequence. How will you time both qualitative and quantitative methods, whether you use a concrete timing or the sequential. If it is sequential, then which one? The quantitative will be first or the qualitative? The next one is priority, that is the weighing. How much weighing are you giving a particular method? Are you giving an equal weightage or the unequal? If it is unequal, then which is emphasizing more, the quantitative one or the qualitative one? Now the next is the mixing. How will you mix the data? How will you merge the data? Which helps if are you merging at the result during the interpretation or during the analysis? Or how can you embed the data? If you embed it, then qualitative data is embedded in quantitative design or vice versa. And the third one is how you connect the data, whether the quantitative leads to qualitative or the qualitative leads to quantitative. It is also well understood by the matrix design, four cell matrix designs of the Johnson, which helps us to understand how we generally use this one with this. If you are giving the equal status, then we should follow this qual and qual in concurrent one. If it is sequential, see this way. And if there is a dominant status, that is qualitative is dominant here rather than the quantitative in concurrent one. And here the qualitative is a sequential one where qualitative is giving more emphasis than quantitative. So this way we can design our mixed method research. Now, according to Creswell, there are four main major types of MR design. Though we have so many designs right now, which can be easily hybrided by all these models, and totally depends upon the type of the research problems. But the basic major four types of the MMR are triangulation design, embedded design, explanatory design, and exploratory design. The triangulation design is oftenly used, which has the further four models, that is the convergence model, transformation model, validated quantitative data model, and multi-level one. These first two are basically used for analysis and interpretation of the data, and the third one is helps to increase the finding during survey, and the multi-level model is used in various level of the analysis. Now comes to the embedded design. Embedded design is where we incorporate one method into the another method, and here it is also two types, that is the embedded experimental model and embedded correlation model, where the qualitative data is embedded with the experimental design, and here qualitative data give result to the quantitative methodology and give a correlation study. Now comes to the explanatory design. Here explanatory design is also called explanatory sequential designs, where the quantitative data set is used first and then it leads to the qualitative designs. And it has also the two types, follow-up explanation model and participation selection model. Both uses both the quantitative data type first, and then with the result of this quantitative it will help to further design the qualitative one. So but here the connection between these two models are different. Now the exploratory design. Exploratory design is again same called the exploratory sequential, which is again a two-phase method, same like the explanatory one, but here it starts with the qualitative one. Here the qualitative first give a type of phenomena, and this qualitative results helps to design the quantitative phase. It is again the two type, that is the instrumental development model and taxonomy development model, and both again start with the qualitative. That's why they are giving more emphasis on the qualitative mode of research. Now let's talk about the MMR used in education. See, MMR is highly oftenly used by the educational researcher right now because of its some interesting, or you can say a very um, pragmatic qualities. Number one, I can show in the form of a pyramid here, that is it maximizes the strength and minimize the weakness of coin and quell. That's why it's so that it removes all kind of paradigm war, and reduces the epistological differences. It enhances the validity, reliability, very pragmatic. It has a pragmatic approach. It expands the in-depth knowledge, critical awareness among the researcher, and that's why it gives a holistic view of any investigation. So in the end, I just want to say that MMR gives a deeper insights, it offsets epistemological differences, enhances reliability, validity through its triangulation complex. It helps to give an inclusive meaning of any investigations, and it make a study more pragmatic, authentic, and feasible. Thank you so much.